Have you ever realized that the people who smile at you the most are sometimes the ones planning to use you? When my family invited me to celebrate my mother's birthday at the most expensive restaurant in the city, I thought they finally wanted to rebuild our relationship. Instead, they spent nearly $5,000 on lobster, wagyu steak, champagne, and desserts, then pushed the bill across the table. Everyone looked at me. My older brother smiled and said, "You're single, you don't have kids, you can afford it." For a few seconds, nobody spoke. The waiter stood there, awkwardly holding the payment machine. I looked at the bill. I smiled and quietly took out my credit card. They thought they had won. They had no idea that dinner would become the most expensive meal of their lives. My name is Emma Carter, and this is the night my family confused kindness with weakness. A family that only called when they needed something. Growing up, I always believed family meant unconditional love. Unfortunately, my family believed something very different. To them, love depended on what you could provide. My older brother, Michael, was the golden child. No matter what mistakes he made, my parents defended him. When he failed in business, they blamed the economy. When he wasted money, they blamed bad luck. When I graduated at the top of my class and started my own consulting company, they simply said, "That's nice." I wasn't celebrated. I was expected to help. Whenever someone needed money, they called me. Whenever someone needed advice, they called me. Whenever something went wrong, they called me. But on birthdays, holidays, or simple family dinners, no one remembered I existed, unless they needed something. The unexpected invitation. One Monday morning, my phone rang. It was my mother. That alone surprised me. She rarely called first. "Emma." Her voice sounded unusually cheerful. "We're having a birthday dinner for me this Saturday. I really want the whole family together." For a moment, I felt hopeful. Maybe things were changing. Maybe. After years of distance, they finally wanted me back in their lives. "I'll be there," I replied. She sounded delighted. "Oh, and we're going somewhere special." After hanging up, I smiled. I even bought her an expensive birthday gift, something she had admired months earlier. A beautiful designer handbag. I wanted the evening to be perfect. I had no idea they already had a different plan. The luxury restaurant. Saturday evening arrived. The restaurant looked like something out of a movie. Crystal chandeliers, live piano music, elegant waiters. The smell of expensive food filled the air. When I walked in, everyone was already seated. My brother Michael stood up and hugged me. That almost never happened. "Emma, there she is." My sister-in-law smiled warmly. Even my father shook my hand. Everything felt too perfect. For the first time in years, everyone treated me with kindness. Looking back, I should have realized kindness without a reason usually has won. Ordering without limits. The waiter handed everyone a menu. Michael didn't even look at the prices. "We'll start with a lobster platter. And bring 2 seafood towers." My father added, "Make every steak wagyu." My sister-in-law laughed. "And don't forget the imported wine." Then came desserts, premium coffee, extra appetizers. Everything, the most expensive option. I quietly ordered a simple grilled chicken and sparkling water. Michael looked at me. "Come on, Emma. Live a little." I smiled politely. "I'm happy with this." He shrugged, then ordered another bottle of champagne. As dinner continued, everyone laughed. They took photos, made jokes, talked about vacations. Not once did anyone ask how I was doing. Not once did anyone ask about my business. I was there, still invisible. The bill arrives. Nearly 3 hours later, the waiter returned. He placed a black leather folder in the center of the table. No one reached for it. Instead, every face slowly turned toward me. Michael picked up the folder, opened it, whistled softly. $4,987. Then, without hesitation, he slid it directly in front of me. I looked down at the total. Before I could speak, my mother smiled. "Emma, you're single. You don't have children. You have your own company. You can afford it. My father nodded. Think of it as your gift to the family. My sister-in-law laughed. It isn't a big deal for someone like you. The waiter remained frozen beside the table, waiting, watching. Every person there expected one answer. Yes. I looked around the table, then slowly closed the bill folder. I smiled, reached into my purse, and quietly pulled out my black credit card. As soon as I handed my credit card to the waiter, a satisfied smile spread across my brother Michael's face. My mother picked up her glass of wine. My father leaned back comfortably, and everyone at the table acted as if what had just happened was completely normal. Not a single person offered to split the bill, or even thank me. To them, I wasn't a daughter or a sister. I was simply the family member expected to pay whenever things became expensive. I signed the receipt, wished my mother a happy birthday, picked up my handbag, and quietly walked out of the restaurant. Behind me, I could hear laughter, but I never looked back. Driving home that night, I wasn't angry. In fact, I felt strangely calm. That dinner had answered a question I had been asking myself for years. I had always hoped my family would one day see me as more than a wallet. Instead, they had shown me exactly who they were. The painful part wasn't losing nearly $5,000. The painful part was realizing that the people who should have loved me the most only remembered me when they needed something. 2 weeks later, I arrived at my office early Monday morning. My assistant walked in carrying a folder filled with investment proposals. One file immediately caught my attention. The company name printed across the top made me pause. It belonged to my brother Michael. His struggling construction business had applied for a $5 million investment through my private investment firm. I remembered the presentation from several months earlier. Michael had no idea my company was the anonymous investor reviewing his proposal. I had kept my identity confidential throughout the entire process to avoid any conflict of interest. As I opened the file again, I couldn't stop thinking about that dinner. I remembered the expensive lobster, the champagne, the laughter, and the moment they pushed the bill toward me without a second thought. Then I quietly closed the folder. Looking at my assistant, I said, "Please send them a polite rejection letter. Inform them that we've decided to invest in another company." She nodded without asking questions. It wasn't revenge. It was simply a business decision based on trust, and trust had already been broken. 3 days later, my phone started ringing nonstop. First came my mother. I let it go to voicemail. Then my father called. After him, Michael called 5 times in less than an hour. Finally, I answered. "Emma," Michael said in a panicked voice, "something terrible has happened. The investor pulled out. Without that funding, the bank won't approve our expansion loan. We're going to lose everything." I remained silent for a moment before asking calmly, "Why are you telling me this?" "Because..." He hesitated. "I thought maybe you knew someone who could help." I took a deep breath. "Actually, Michael, I do know who the investor was." There was complete silence on the other end. It was my company. Another long pause followed. "What?" he whispered. "My investment firm reviewed your proposal months ago. We were ready to move forward. But after the way all of you treated me at your mother's birthday dinner, I realized something important. I don't invest in businesses run by people who have no respect for others." His breathing became heavier. "Emma, please. We didn't think it was that serious. It was only dinner." I answered quietly, "No, Michael. It wasn't about the money. It was about how easily all of you decided that my kindness belonged to you." The next evening, my parents came to my office without an appointment. My mother looked exhausted, and my father no longer carried the confidence he once had. For the first time in my life, they weren't there to give advice or make demands. They were there to ask for help. My mother lowered her head and said softly, "Emma, we made a terrible mistake." I looked at her without speaking. She continued, "We spent years believing that because you were successful and unmarried, you had fewer responsibilities than everyone else. We convinced ourselves that asking you to pay was harmless. We never stopped to think about how deeply we were hurting you." My father sighed. "Pride blinded us. We kept expecting you to give without ever giving anything back." For several seconds, the room remained silent. Finally, I spoke. I spent years trying to earn love from people who should have given it freely. Every birthday I was forgotten. Every holiday I was invited only when someone needed money. That dinner wasn't the beginning of the problem. It was simply the moment I finally accepted the truth. My mother's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I believe you are," I replied gently. "But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences." I stood up and walked toward the large window overlooking the city. I've already invested those $5 million into another company. I won't change that decision. Behind me, I heard quiet sobbing. Then I turned back and smiled, not with anger, but with peace. "I hope your business survives." "I truly do. But this time, you'll have to build it without expecting someone else to carry the cost." My parents slowly stood up. Before leaving, my father stopped at the door. "You know," he said, "we always thought money was the greatest measure of success." I looked at him and smiled. "It isn't." "What is it?" he asked. "The way you treat people when you don't need anything from them." Neither of them had an answer. As they walked away, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. It wasn't victory. It wasn't revenge. It was freedom. I had finally stopped trying to buy a place in a family that never appreciated my heart. Some people believe karma arrives with anger. In my experience, karma arrives quietly. It simply gives people the consequences of the choices they made. My family lost a $5 million opportunity because they treated kindness like an unlimited resource. As for me, I didn't become richer because I kept my money. I became richer because I finally learned that self-respect is worth far more than any check you'll ever sign.